Welcome, beautiful spicy ladies. Fear is the cheapest room in the house. I would like to see you living in better conditions. Most people are prisoners of fear, tiptoeing through life to avoid confrontation, rejection, or failure. But not Sigma females. While the world wastes time overthinking and seeking approval, Sigma females move like ghosts in the night, silent, unpredictable, and absolutely untouchable. Here's a fact. Studies show that fear isn't just psychological. It physically alters brain chemistry, weakening decision-making and problem-solving abilities. But Sigma females, they've rewired themselves differently. Where others hesitate, they analyze. Where others cower, they strategize. And where most get stuck in a loop of doubt, they simply walk through the fire, unfazed. They don't just fear nobody. They've made fear itself afraid of them. Let's break down the 10 brutally honest reasons why Sigma females are immune to fear and why the rest of the world just can't keep up. Fair warning, if you scare easily, this might not be for you. Number 1, they know that people are often too self-absorbed to be a real threat. Most people spend their lives paralyzed by fear, constantly worried about what others think, say, or might do. But here's the reality. People are too busy drowning in their own insecurities to be a real threat. Sigma females understand this better than anyone. They crack the code. Most of the fear people feel isn't even necessary. It's based on illusions, assumptions, and worst-case scenarios that rarely happen. The truth is, everyone is their own main character, wrapped up in their problems, obsessed with how they're being perceived, and too distracted by their personal struggles to truly focus on anyone else. Most people aren't plotting against you. They're too busy worrying about their own failures, anxieties, and self-doubts. Sigma females see this clearly, which is why they don't waste time fearing people who, in reality, are just trying to keep their own lives from falling apart. This is also why Sigma females move through life with a sense of quiet attachment. They don't waste energy worrying about others' opinions or reactions because they know most people are operating on autopilot, reacting, overthinking, and second-guessing themselves at every turn. While the rest of the world is stuck in an endless loop of social anxiety, the Sigma female remains focused, unbothered, and always in control. Fear loses its grip when you realize that most people aren't as powerful or intimidating as they appear. They're just flawed humans trying to survive, just like everyone else. Sigma females don't fear them because at the end of the day, they know the truth. Most people are too lost in their own chaos to be a real danger. Number 2, they faced darkness before and survived. Pain changes people. It either breaks them or builds them into something unshakable. Sigma females fall into the second category. They don't just survive hardships, they extract power from them. They've walked through storms that would have drowned others, faced betrayals that could have shattered them, and endured loneliness that would have made most people beg for validation. But instead of becoming weaker, they became untouchable. This is why they don't fear anyone. Once you've been through darkness alone, you realize that no one can truly save you but yourself. Sigma females have learned this firsthand. They've been their own rescue team, their own motivation, their own last line of defense. They don't need hand-holding, sympathy, or permission to rise. They've already been forged in fire, and the scars they carry aren't wounds. They're proof that they can't be broken. Most people fear loss, failure, or rejection because they've never really had to stand alone. They've always had a safety net, someone to catch them, someone to reassure them. Sigma females have been free-falling for years and survived the crash every time. That's why fear has no power over them. Whatever comes next, they know one thing for sure. They've already faced worse and walked away stronger. But before I give you these signs today, let me request you spicy ladies to hit that subscribe button. Please do it right now if you love my content, if you love what I do. I bless your heart. Number 3, they are willing to be the villain in someone else's story. Sigma females don't live for applause, approval, or validation. They know that no matter how true they are to themselves, someone will always twist the narrative, misunderstand their intentions, or paint them as the villain. And they're completely fine with that. Most people waste energy trying to prove they're likable or deserving of acceptance. They bend, compromise, and censor themselves just to avoid being misjudged. Sigma females don't play that game. They don't fear being labeled cold, difficult, or unapproachable because they know these words usually come from people who couldn't control them. If standing their ground makes them the villain, so be it. They've accepted that people will see them through their own lens of insecurity, bias, or projection. They know that no matter what they do, someone will find a reason to resent them. So, why bother trying to change the story? Sigma females prioritize their truth over public perception. They make the decisions that serve them, speak the words that need to be said, and walk away from situations that no longer serve them without needing to explain or justify. There's a certain power in not fearing misinterpretation. While others exhaust themselves trying to be understood, Sigma females conserve their energy for what actually matters. If someone wants to see them as the villain, they won't argue. They'll simply continue being who they are, unapologetically, ruthlessly, and without regret. Number 4. They accept and conquer the darker sides of themselves. Most people run from their darkness, bury their past mistakes, deny their flaws, and pretend their inner demons don't exist. But Sigma females do the exact opposite. They turn around, face the shadows, and drag them into the light, not to destroy them, but to own them. They know that suppressing the darker part of themselves only gives it more power. So instead of fearing their anger, jealousy, or pain, they study it, understand it, and master it. Where others crumble under guilt or regret, Sigma females dissect their experiences and extract wisdom. They don't drown in self-loathing over who they used to be. They take those lessons and sharpen themselves into something stronger, wiser, and more dangerous to underestimate. This is why they fear no one, not even themselves. Most people are terrified of their own minds, afraid of the thoughts they try to suppress. Sigma females, however, explore their own depths without fear. They acknowledge their flaws and transform them into strengths. They take their past failures and weaponize the wisdom they gained. Instead of letting their pain haunt them, they harness it as fuel. The difference between a Sigma female and everyone else is simple. Most people are at war with themselves, but she has already won that battle. Number 5, they view failure as a lab experiment, not a personal defeat. Failure is only devastating to those who take it personally. Sigma females don't. They don't sit around wallowing in embarrassment, shame, or self-pity when things go wrong. Instead, they analyze, adjust, and move forward smarter than before. To them, failure isn't a sign of incompetence. It's simply feedback, a rough draft that needs refining, an experiment that didn't go as planned. Most people see failure as a final verdict, a statement about their worth or ability. Sigma females see it as data collection, a test run that reveals what works and what doesn't. When something doesn't go their way, they don't spiral into self-doubt. They dissect the situation, pinpoint the weak spots, and refine their approach. They don't fear failure because, to them, it's never final. It's just another step forward. This mindset is what keeps them ahead. While others are paralyzed by the fear of looking foolish, Sigma females keep taking risks, learning, and improving. They understand that success isn't about avoiding mistakes. It's about learning from them faster than everyone else. They don't let setbacks define them, and they certainly don't let the opinions of those who fear failure slow them down. In the end, the Sigma female always comes out on top, not because she never fails, but because she refuses to let failure stop her. Number 6, they have absolute control over their emotions. Emotions are powerful, but only if you know how to control them. Most people are slaves to their feelings, reacting impulsively and making decisions out of anger, fear, or insecurity. Sigma females don't operate like that. They've trained themselves to master their emotions, not be mastered by them. This doesn't mean they don't feel deeply. They do. The difference is they don't let emotion dictate their actions. They don't lash out in anger, crumble under pressure, or get manipulated by guilt. Instead, they observe their emotions like a scientist studying a reaction, analyzing the cause, recognizing the pattern, and deciding whether or not it deserves a response. Fear, for most people, is an instant trigger. It makes them freeze, overthink, or retreat. For Sigma females, fear is just a signal, not a command. They acknowledge it, assess its validity, and then decide whether it serves a purpose or if it's just noise. This is why they rarely panic, rarely overreact, and never let temporary feelings make permanent decisions. This level of emotional control makes them dangerous to those who rely on manipulation. You can't guilt trip a Sigma female into doing something she doesn't want to do. You can't provoke her into a reckless reaction. You can't scare her into submission. She sees through the games, remains calm under pressure, and makes calculated, not emotional, moves. Most people are like boats in a storm, tossed around by whatever emotion hits them next. Sigma females are the storm, powerful, unpredictable, and completely in control. Number 7, they aren't afraid to burn bridges. Most people cling to relationships, connections, and beliefs out of fear. Fear of being alone, fear of change, fear of the unknown. Sigma females have no such fear. If something no longer serves them, if a connection becomes toxic, or if a belief system limits their growth, they light the match and walk away without hesitation. They don't romanticize loyalty to the wrong people. They don't keep friendships out of nostalgia or stay in situations that drain them just because they once felt comfortable. They understand that growth requires letting go. And sometimes it means burning a bridge so completely that there's no way back. This doesn't make them cold. It makes them efficient. They refuse to be weighed down by people who secretly envy them, relationships that have turned into obligations, or outdated mindsets that no longer align with who they are becoming. They would rather walk alone on a clear path than be surrounded by fake support. Most people hesitate to cut ties because they fear regret. Sigma females trust themselves. They know that if they're walking away, it's for a reason. They don't second guess, dwell, or go back. If they burn a bridge, it's not an accident. It's a strategic decision to make sure they never cross that path again. Weak people fear losing connections. Sigma females fear losing themselves by staying where they don't belong. Number 8, they know that most authority figures are just insecure people with titles. Most people are conditioned to blindly respect authority, believing that titles automatically mean wisdom, competence, or superiority. Sigma females see through the illusion. They aren't impressed by power, status, or position because they know that many so-called leaders are just ordinary, insecure people hiding behind a title. They've watched people in authority make reckless decisions, act out of ego, and abuse their power simply to mask their own self-doubt. They know that confidence doesn't come from a job title. It comes from competence, experience, and self-awareness. And if an authority figure lacks those things, a Sigma female won't hesitate to question, challenge, or completely ignore their influence. This is what makes them intimidating in workplaces, social circles, and structured environments. They don't blindly follow. They don't obey out of fear. And they certainly don't let someone's position make them feel small. If a leader is weak, insecure, or incompetent, a Sigma female will recognize it instantly and refuse to give them undeserved respect. This mindset is what allows Sigma females to move through life without intimidation. They don't see CEOs, politicians, or so-called powerful people as gods. They see them as flawed humans who happen to have a title. And once you understand that, the fear of authority disappears completely. Number 9, they have no emotional dependence on others. One of the greatest sources of fear for most people is the dependency on others for emotional validation. The fear of being abandoned, misunderstood, or rejected can paralyze decision-making and lead to constant self-doubt. But for Sigma females, emotional dependence on others doesn't exist. They've built themselves into self-contained emotional fortresses that don't rely on external validation to feel complete. They don't need constant reassurance that they're loved, appreciated, or worthy. They don't crave compliments or seek out approval. They simply know their own worth deeply and unapologetically. This self-sufficiency is what makes them unshakable. When others withdraw their support or try to emotionally manipulate them, Sigma females don't flinch. They don't need to beg for anyone's emotional stability because they create their own. This internal strength is what makes them immune to fear-driven decisions because they aren't constantly worried about losing other support. They can make the tough choices without hesitation or guilt. They don't stick around in toxic relationships or situations just to keep someone happy. If something doesn't serve them, they cut it out without second guessing themselves or fearing the fallout. Sigma females are independent not just in action, but in emotion. They've learned that when you rely on yourself for emotional stability, there's no one left to disappoint you or shake your foundation. As a result, fear loses its grip on them. No one else's opinion, no matter how loud, can ever truly touch them. Number 10, they understand that fear is an emotional manipulation tool. Society thrives on fear, whether it's the fear of rejection, failure, judgment, or even just not measuring up. Fear is the ultimate tool used to control behavior, push people into conformity, and keep them in line. But Sigma females have learned the game. They understand exactly what's going on, and as a result, they refuse to play by those rules. From a young age, many people are conditioned to fear what others think. Fear of failure keeps them from taking risks. Fear of rejection keeps them from being authentic. Fear of judgment keeps them from speaking their truth. These fears become the chains that bind them. Sigma females, however, see fear for what it is, a manipulation tool used to keep people small and easily controlled. Once they realize this, fear loses its power. They no longer let society dictate their choices, push them into uncomfortable boxes, or make them second-guess their own desires. Sigma females recognize fear for what it is, a tool used by others to keep you from being your true, unapologetic self. They don't fear judgment because they've accepted that some people will never understand them, and that's okay. They don't fear failure because they know it's just part of the process, not the end of the road. They don't fear rejection because they know their worth doesn't depend on anyone else's approval. When everyone else is busy succumbing to the fear tactics designed to keep them in place, Sigma females stand tall, unafraid, fully aware that they cannot be controlled by emotions that others use to manipulate the masses. In the end, Sigma females embody a rare and remarkable strength that defies the norms of fear, insecurity, and dependence. They are the ones who move through life unmoved, unafraid of what others think, unaffected by judgment, and unwilling to bend to societal pressures. They've faced darkness, survived their own battles, and emerged untouchable. Fear doesn't control them because they have mastered themselves, their emotions, and their circumstances. While most people are paralyzed by doubt, Sigma females are busy carving out their own path, knowing that their power lies in their independence and self-awareness. They don't need validation. They don't fear failure. And they aren't intimidated by those who wear titles or hold power. They see fear for what it truly is, a tactic to control the masses, and they have long since freed themselves from its grip. So the next time you encounter a Sigma female, remember she is not a force to be reckoned with because she fears nobody. She fears nothing. She walks through the world with quiet confidence, unshaken by the storms that break others. In this world where fear often holds so many back, it is this very strength that makes her truly extraordinary. If you found this journey into the world of Sigma females as fascinating as we know it is, don't forget to hit that like button. Share this with anyone who needs to hear it, and comment below with your thoughts. Let's keep the conversation going. And of course, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel so you never miss a moment of content that challenges, empowers, and inspires. Keep walking your own path with courage, because the best is yet to come. Thanks, spicy ladies, for tuning in. See you in the next vid. Bye and stay blessed.